Well, let's talk to Mr. Hossein Mousavian, Senior Fellow Princeton himself. Welcome, sir. He's joining us from Manama via Skype. Welcome, sir. Mr. Mousavian, first of all, besides describing the atmosphere of the Security Conference, tell us why you weren't given an answer by Chuck Hagel.
Because the major issue Chuck Hagel raised in his speech today was about Iran, claiming Iran is the major threat to peace, security, and stability. He mentioned Iranian nuclear program as the major threat. I responded to him. Iran does not have nuclear bomb. There has been thousands of inspections. There is no diversion in Iranian nuclear program. And I questioned the Defense Secretary of United States why you do not mention a single word about the real threat in the Middle East on non-proliferation, which is Israel, because Israel is the only country with hundreds of nuclear bombs. And I was really surprised. This issue happened in another panel. Again, Canadian Foreign Minister raised Iranian proliferation threat. And when he was asked about Israel, he did not respond one word. What the West is going to do with hundreds of nuclear weapons of Israelis. It is really shocking for how the West is weak and unsincere about non-proliferation issue in the Middle East.
And in general, Doctor, tell us why Israel's nuclear program and, of course, nuclear weapons are not even discussed by the IAEA itself.
Because the world powers decide in the IAEA. The Board of Governors of the IAEA is dominated by the world powers. Look, in 2005, 3 countries were accused of non-compliance: Iran, Egypt, South Korea. They referred Iranian file only to the United Nations Security Council and sanctioned Iran, while Egypt and South Korea were found a non-compliance. They didn't do anything against, because Egypt that time, Mubarak, the dictator, was the ally of the US. And South Korea was ally of the West. They just closed the file immediately. The IAEA really is completely politicized.
And Dr. Mousavian, in general, tell us what's your impression of the recent nuclear deal between Iran and the P5+1?
This deal is not ideal neither for Iran and nor for the P5+1, but this is very important because after decades of negotiations, now they have reached to a base. This is a base, this is interim deal. They need to negotiate for final deal, but I support the deal because the deal includes the lifting of sanctions against Iran at the end. The deal respects practically the rights of Iran for enrichment, and the deal is asking Iran for transparency, which Iran has never had any problem. Even during our time, when I was member of nuclear negotiation team, we told Europeans and other interlocutors that Iran has no problem about any type of transparency measures because Iran is not after nuclear bomb. And Iran is prepared to give any assurances that its nuclear program would remain peaceful ever and there would be never diversion toward weaponization. This was the 2 major issues we have been reiterating. Iran has been reiterating for a decade. Now they accepted Iranian voluntary goodwill, and the deal includes transparency measures and confidence-building measures on non-diversion toward weaponization.
Indeed. Well, we'll leave it there for the time. Many thanks to Hossein Mousavian, Senior Fellow with Princeton University, joining us from Manama. Thanks for your thoughts, sir.